Did you know that in Atlantis, they misused alchemy? And that is why the survivors from that destruction of Atlantis, they migrated to Kemet, to ancient Egypt, and they kept this wisdom as a secret, only accessible in the mystery schools to the priestesses, the priests, the queens, and the pharaohs. Not because they wanted to keep it away from the public and only for themselves, but because they were afraid that people would misuse it again. But now, as our consciousness of humanity is starting to rise up again, we have the ability to right these wrongs of our Atlantean ancestors. Instead of destroying ourselves with alchemy, now we can start to empower ourselves and others with alchemy. Now that our consciousness is expanding, these alchemy secrets, they're no longer meant to be kept a secret, but they're still meant to be kept in the right hands, because alchemy is extremely powerful. It's all about transforming everything, not just rocks into gold like the ancient Egyptians could, but transforming anything into its golden expression. In this video, we're going to explore why alchemy is not for everyone, what are the qualities that you need to become an alchemist. Hey, welcome if you're new here. My name is SolTara. I'm a medium and I share alchemy practices from Atlantis and from ancient Egypt. If that resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe. So this is why alchemy was kept a secret, because they didn't want people misusing it like the Atlanteans misused it and they ended up destroying themselves with it. But now we're at a big choice point in humanity where we will either play out the same cycle as the Atlanteans and we'll destroy ourselves, or we can choose a new path of learning, of expansion, of evolution for our planet and for humanity as a whole. You can use alchemy to transform anything into its golden expression. I know when we think about medieval Europe, you would think about the chemists, and they were trying to transform all of these elements into gold. But actually, true alchemy emerged from ancient Egypt, from Kemet, and even beyond then, from the Atlanteans, from our Lemurian Mu ancestors, and even beyond them, from the galactic beings. So alchemy is ancient. It's hundreds of millions of years old, and that is because the elements are hundreds and millions of years old. So with alchemy, you are transforming pain into power, transforming grief into acceptance, or anxiety into peace. So it's all about transforming things from one state into another, including non-tangible things and tangible things. In medieval Europe, the alchemists, they tried to use different elements and mix them together to make gold, to turn mercury into gold. However, the true alchemy is what you see in the Ascended Masters. It's not about material gold, but it's about etheric gold, and transforming all of our imbalances into their golden expressions. And that's why you see all of the Ascended Masters, no matter what religion, what spiritual cosmology they're connected to, you will see this golden aura around them, because that represents that they went through the alchemical process of transmutation. So that's what alchemy is about. It's the transmutational process of elevating everything from its imbalanced, distorted state into its most elevated state. The reason why alchemy is not for everyone is because it's very powerful and it can be used for many different applications. God, source, spirit, creation, the universe, it is having its own self-protective mechanism. Think about the movies. You know, when they come in to steal from a secret vault and there's the biometrics and they have to get the fake eye contact, or they have to get the fingerprint to be able to access that door, and then once you access that door, there's booby traps, and then there's lasers and you can't set off the lasers. So that's exactly how the divine matrix works. So the divine matrix is not the same thing as we see with Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus as the artificial matrix, but the matrix is the organic structure, the sacred geometry patterns of time and space across the different dimensions that dictate how energy collapses. Within this divine matrix, God, source, spirit, creation, the universe, it designed these alchemy secrets in a way that it has all these booby traps, and only those who have pure hearts and pure intentions are able to work with the most expanded expressions of alchemy, because again, it could be used for a lot of good or for other intentions. So it's kind of like the self-protective mechanism that the universe is so brilliant that it designed for itself. So the biometric in this situation, you know how in the movies it's like the eye scanning or the scanning of the fingerprint. In this situation, it would be scanning your energy field. It would be scanning your frequency, your vibration. If you want to learn how to unlock these alchemy principles, I am hosting an alchemy workshop where you will learn 3 alchemical practices from Atlantis and from ancient Egypt that you can use to transform your blocks and use alchemy to align with your highest timeline. If you want to join that alchemy workshop, you can get more information in the description of this video. Look at the ancient Egyptian gods, the gods of Kemet. Anubis, he was the god of the underworld, and whenever someone would pass away and they would transition from this realm into another realm, Anubis would weigh their heart against a feather to identify, is this heart as pure and as light as a feather? That's an example of how the divine matrix protects this ancient wisdom. Another example is if you look at goddess Aset, goddess Isis, the ancient Egyptian goddess of healing, magic, and protection. Goddess Isis, she's often depicted with her wings. And one of the reasons why she had her wings is because she was able to learn from her teacher, Goddess Hathor, how to travel into her other multidimensional experiences. She was able to tap into her parallel life where she did have wings, and she wanted to prove to herself that she has mastered her energy, her mind, and her power, and she wanted to bring those wings from that parallel life into this physical material life that she had in Kemet in ancient Egypt. And that's why she brought those wings. It was sort of like an initiation moment for herself that she created for herself. So with alchemy, it's very much a practice of the mind. It's all about mastering the mind. And again, that's something that we're going to explore deeper inside of that alchemy workshop, mastering the mind and mastering the emotions. That is the true path of the alchemist. Inside of the mystery schools of Atlantis and of ancient Egypt and around the world as well, because the mystery schools were spread out around the world. Inside of these mystery schools, you were given certain symbols that you were initiated to understand them, because the symbols, they had a lot of coded information inside. And so for people, the common people who are not a part of the mystery school, they would just see, for example, a hieroglyphic or a different symbol, and they wouldn't think too much of it. But there was actually formulas and other principles underlying those symbols. And inside of these mystery schools, people would have to go through a lot of dedication, a lot of studies, a lot of tests. And some of these tests were focused on, were you able to overcome your fears? So they would make the initiates face their fears in different ways. This would be a test to see if they're able to truly access this sacred wisdom, because you have to understand that the light and the dark are the same thing. And so these are some of the ways that this wisdom was protected back then, and it's still being protected now. That's why it's very rare to see true alchemy books out there, because these practices, they are very deep, and it's not enough to read them from a book or enough to watch a video about them. You have to experience it yourself. And that's why alchemy is not for everyone, because to be an alchemist, it requires a lot of dedication. It requires a lot of focus. It requires a lot of discipline and commitment to actually practice your alchemy principles. And that's why Yeshua, he dipped to the desert for a while, because he really needed to focus on mastering his mind and mastering his energy. And Yeshua is from the tribe of the Essenes, and the Essenes were these brilliant, talented healers. They could create miracles. Why? Because they understood the secrets of alchemy. They gained that from their ancient Egyptian Kemetic counterparts. So this wisdom, it does require a lot of dedication. I practice elemental alchemy, where I work with fire, water, air, earth, and ether to transform my inner blocks and external blocks, because the energy body, the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, they are all being able to be impacted by the elements. And that's something that I'm going to explore deeper inside of this alchemy workshop. If you want more details, you can get more information in the description of this video. But I sat with the elements for 7 years, and even to this day that I sit with the elements, I'm still learning more and more. And something that really helped me to open up my eyes to why there is so much protection around this sacred wisdom is because when I went to Thailand, I went to the temple of the Emerald Buddha, and I didn't know who Emerald Buddha was, and Emerald Buddha was in the center, and there was a bunch of other statues and beings around Emerald Buddha. So I was really fascinating. Obviously, Emerald Buddha must be very important to be at the center of all this. And so when I looked up, I started to see different symbols, and then I recognized some of those symbols, and I started to connect with the guides there. And there, it was my frequency that would allow me to give access to a different state, to a different state, to a different state of information. And it's one thing for me to share this out loud to you, but it was a very different feeling to actually experience it. Imagine, for example, trying to explain to someone what it feels like, when a roller coaster is slowly shooting you, when it slowly shoots you and then it really shoots you out. It's something to describe it to someone, but to actually feel that is a completely different sensation. And that is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. You cannot bypass and try to shortcut your learning to access the alchemical principles and working with the elements. It's something that you have to dedicate yourself to, and you have to develop innate relationship with the elements and with alchemy if you truly want to understand their secrets. And this is what's going to allow you to understand a deeper level of the wisdom. So with consciousness, it's not something you can learn by reading or by listening to me or anyone else talk about it. It's something you have to experience it yourself. Because think about like the very first time that you connected with your spirit guides. It was a very unique sensation. I'm sure you felt it. Or when you had another huge spiritual experience, like maybe it was astral projection or connecting with your past life, or maybe it was opening up your psychic abilities, whatever it was for you. Like it was a very deep visceral experience that, yes, you can describe with your senses, what you saw, what you heard, what you thought, what you felt. But there is something deeper in there, and that is the soul consciousness, which is very hard to describe. And the reason why it's hard to describe is part of why this stuff is meant to be kept secret, because the divine, the all, God, source, spirit, creation, the universe, yes, it's inside of everything, but it's also so sacred that it's difficult to describe. When we have those experiences, we know because it's a feeling, and it's truly a shame when we try to write it out. Let me know in the comments, have you experienced that? Like you had this incredible spiritual experience, and when you say it out loud, it matches nothing in comparison to what you actually experienced. I just think about it sort of like, when we're trying to take a picture of the moon and the moon looks absolutely stunning and gorgeous, but on your phone it looks so bad. It's the same thing. When we try to explain God, source, spirit, creation, the universe, the all, that consciousness, that life force, we can't really do it justice. And it's partly because it is meant to be always this mysterious thing that is indefinable and unidentifiable. Exactly, like we know it's everywhere, and it's inside of all of us, and it's inside of everything, but again, it's like particular makeup. It's meant to be a mystery because that's what keeps it as sacred. And those who are able to be committed and be on that frequency of that sacredness, they will have access to it. So that's what you can do to know if you are ready to become an alchemist, if you're committed, if you have the discipline, if you have the willpower, if you have the focus and time and effort to invest into your practices. And those practices are all about self-mastery. Are you able to master your mind? Are you able to master your emotions? And there's different modalities that you can use to do that. So that's not the most important thing, but the true path of the alchemist is one who's able to master themselves. So if you're ready for this path of the alchemist to unlock your true power and potential, I hope to see you inside of the alchemy workshop. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is the incredible spiritual experience that you've had that it's hard to write down in words, but maybe you want to share it with us, because bringing some of that beautiful energy of the divine into this space, share it with our community here. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes. I read all the comments, so I can't wait to hear what you experienced, and I will see you in the next video. Much love.